Hi everyone, it's G Fletcher, Pro 8 from Australia, the Sunshine Coast in Australia. And I'd just like to welcome everyone here this evening or this morning, wherever you are in the world, from the UK, Ireland, the USA, New Zealand, Australia. A big warm welcome and thank you for coming on and coming to hear this incredible woman. So today we have the honor on the Ask the Expert series. We have Jackie Sheppard. Now, I had the honor of picking up this book 4 years ago and it changed my life. I had heard about this lady. So just to give you a little bit of background on who Jackie Sheppard is, she is the author of this incredible book called The Silent Takeover: How the Body Hijacks the Mind, Overcoming Emotional, Mental, and Addictive Disorders. Now, I just felt that I needed to pick this book up and start reading it because a lot of that stuff is part of my DNA. And I thought I need to be educated on this. So Jackie Sheppard is a counselor, educator, mother, and grandmother. She is the founder of a private high school, a former journalist, and with her husband, Glenn, they are the co-founders of International Prayer Ministries. For over 50 years, Jackie's extensive experience in counseling, research, and teaching concerning the brain, the body and brain have transformed many lives. And I have to say, she transformed my life because at one stage I thought I was going mad. And it was through discovery of some mineral deficiencies and things like that that Jackie really transformed my world. Now, due to this product, how long ago was it that you joined, Jackie? 10 years?
February 2010. So it's been over a decade.
Wow. So over a decade. She was one of the first people that actually joined LifeVantage. Now, have a look at her. She doesn't look like your typical Lamborghini and bikini network marketers, which she definitely isn't. This woman is all about the science, as you'll get to understand when you hear of her. And Jackie is a Pro 8 with LifeVantage for the past 10 years. So, Jackie, I'd like you to maybe start off by maybe sharing your journey about maybe glutathione. I know this is a real buzzword for you. It has been something that you had been researching. And I love in the book, your kids said, "Hey, Mom, it's so good to see that science is finally catching up with you." You know, this was, this is your world. You were in the library when there was no Google. You were in there with the big, big books researching. So I'd love you to just maybe share your journey of your science journey with us so we can get to know who you are.
Well, G, I would love to do that. And I'm often asked, how did you get started on this journey? And it actually started very simply. I was in a faculty lounge. I was teaching high school English. And I was sitting in the faculty lounge complaining about some test scores on a Shakespeare test. And one of the teachers said to me, I was 22 years old. I was complaining and she said, "Well, I always give my students an extra 5 points if they eat breakfast the morning of their test." I was sitting there drinking coffee, eating a Pop-Tart, and I said, "What difference does that make?" And she said, "Oh, it'll make a considerable difference because they can focus better." And that's, what actually started the pilgrimage.
Wow.
I wanted to help my students, and I began researching. This was like 1967. So I began researching what's the connections between nutrition and behavior. And if you can get students to behave better, you're going to have better learning. But in 67, we were not getting these diagnoses of ADD, ADHD. So within just the next few years, the whole educational landscape here in America had begun to change. And one more quick thing on this, on my journey, I, in the early 80s, was privileged to meet a research pediatrician in Atlanta, Georgia. And as he and I were working on trying to figure out what we called what's wrong with these kids metabolically, looking at what are their profiles with vitamins and minerals, fatty acids. This was way, way back, 1980. And he is the one that introduced me to free radicals. One day when I walked in, he said, "Mrs. Sheppard, they have discovered the cause of disease." And that was what really, you go back and you think of life-changing sentences you've ever heard. For me, hearing that they had discovered the cause, because we think causes of diseases. And he drew a little picture of a molecule with the electrons and explained that when you gain or lose an electron, that particular molecule becomes abnormal, and that they had been named free radicals because they will no longer obey the what the body is designed to do. So that's what happened. And that's why that started a long journey for me, so that I was, by the time I heard about Protandim, I'd had 45 years of research. And yes, a lot of what I had been teaching during that time was, I had to look for the science. I had an understanding, but I wanted to have the science to prove it. And yeah, it's out there now, and the science grows every day. So does that answer that long answer to a short question, G?
It did. I'd love you to maybe share your experience about glutathione. So you heard about free radical damage, and then could you just explain to us the importance of glutathione, what you discovered, and this evolved you into becoming a principal, a founder of a private high school?
Well, what happened, I didn't really know the connection of glutathione at that time, because I started the private school in 1988. What had happened is I wanted more freedom so that I could do the connections to teach the parents about, this is wrong in your child's body. Unless we correct it, he's going to have a learning problem. And I was working with high school students, so many of them had been on medications for years. Many of them were beginning to self-medicate with other drugs and alcohol. So we were doing the proverbial, let's figure out what's wrong in the body. We knew that, I'm so sorry, we knew that free radicals were implicated because in clinical studies on children with ADD, ADHD, and autism, they had high oxidative stress, which is the accumulation of free radicals that the body's not able to successfully lower. We also knew that they made a low production of antioxidant enzymes. Now, the research pediatrician had died by this time, great loss to us, but I had met some multifunctional medical doctors, and they were researching as well. And so they worked with a lot of my students with doing the metabolic testing, and then we would sit and talk and try to get the young people on a good program. But we couldn't change a lot of things, and those were the things we couldn't change. It didn't matter about the antioxidants. It wasn't lowering free radicals. Their bodies were not making more antioxidant enzymes. So when I saw the investigative report from ABC News, and I saw that in 30 days, you could actually see in a blood test these were dropping, I knew we didn't have anything like it in the world, or I would have known about it. It was actually, I would say 2 or 3 months later. Remember, I was having significant memory problems during that time. That I was doing some research. I was reading all of I think we had maybe 6 clinical studies on PubMed.gov at that time. I started printing out these 6 studies and reading them with my highlighter. And then also I had been calling some of my students with ADD, ADHD, and autism, former students, and suggesting, why not try this? So I was then trying to figure out, okay, it is upregulating antioxidant enzymes. It's upregulating glutathione, catalase, superoxide dismutase. Superoxide dismutase is lowering free radicals. Catalase is bonding with the glutathione. So what's happening here? And I thought, wait a minute. And I started going back and doing more and more research, tracking the role of glutathione in learning and behavior problems. Once you do that, you begin to uncover the role of glutathione with Parkinson's, with multiple sclerosis, with depression, with bipolar. You're just like, it's just like opening a door and looking at all these functions in the body. Every cell makes glutathione, every cell has to have it. That's why they call it the master antioxidant enzyme. So that's really what happened. It was in 2011, though, that Dr. Martha Herbert from Harvard, who's probably our leading in America, our leading scientist and doctor in this field, she said, in fact, you can get on an iChat and watch her say it. She said that she is now convinced that the low production of glutathione is the link to ADD, ADHD, and autism, which is a big statement.
Wow, definitely. So with your journey with LifeVantage, so as I say, you weren't looking for another job at 67.
No.
You're 77 now. Look at this lady. Doesn't she look incredible for 77? Jackie says to me, gee, I say, I wonder, is the True Science skincare, Protandim skincare in a bottle doing much? She's like, you should have seen my skin 10 years ago and see it now. Like, you look absolutely incredible for 77 years of age. So what made you decide to become a network marketer, like a distributor at 67 years of age with Protandim?
I saw the ABC primetime, and Seth Campbell was there. Our wonderful Seth Campbell, one of our leaders. He was 20, almost 24. And I said to the young chiropractor, my chiropractor, who knew that a university was studying Protandim for ADD, ADHD, and autism. So that's why I was invited to watch it. So I watched the video. I was just astounded that they had actually that somebody had actually created something that would show up in a blood test, because antioxidants were working in a test tube to lower free radicals, not adequately in the human body. So I was fascinated with it. I said to Dr. Gilkison, you need to keep this in the office, because I'm like, this is, I was trying to get her to understand that this was a game changer for people. I knew it had to be, because I knew if you could lower free radicals, it was going to affect hundreds and hundreds of diseases. And Seth said, well, there is a economic advantage. No, I actually said to her, Dr. Gilkinson, someone's going to make a lot of money off of this product. Because at 67, I didn't know whether or not I knew she hadn't had 45 years of research. She wasn't even that old. So she said to him, I told you she wouldn't be interested. So don't ever overlook someone. And I said, no, I'm interested. Well, actually, I could tell he was disappointed when she said that. So I was like, oh no, I'm going to listen to this nice young man. Of course I'm not interested in it. It wasn't that I didn't need money, gee. It was just that I wasn't interested exactly what you're talking about in a business part. So in truth, I joined LifeVantage so that I could get Protandim at cost and order from my friends and family at cost. I remember driving home, having made that decision, and I thought, well, who knows? I might make $20 a month.
Wow. And look, what have you, from the start? So you were there at the beginning when it was one bottle of Protandim and the one cream, the number 4 cream, which is Protandim. Now they've introduced NRF1. Like, can you explain to people, mitochondria? I'd never heard of mitochondria before. I'd never understood the need, the importance of mitochondria and the production of it in your body.
Yes. The healthier your mitochondria, the healthier the body, and especially the brain and the heart. It's like the battery in the car. It's the battery in the flashlight. You may have all the components, but if that battery is not efficient, if it's not well charged, you're not going anywhere in that car, or the flashlight won't work. The torch, I believe you call it a torch. What do you call it? Torch.
A torch.
Yes, torch. So what it is actually your mitochondria has its own DNA. And it's like if those of you are familiar with the ABC primetime report, when you see that picture of the free radical, you'll see these little bean-like things. That's your mitochondria. If you go back and look at that image, you can see it. It actually has a glow. Right. And as you age, you produce less and less. That's why you tend to run into age-related diseases. The mitochondria is becoming diminished and compromised. But using computers, cell phones, any sort of electricity drains your mitochondria because it's electrical. And so the reason that this product is so important is most of us are overexposed to electromagnetic fields.
I never knew that it actually depletes because, I didn't realize that the mitochondria would deplete as well due to the phones and energy. Never thought of that. Wow.
Well, we are negatively charged. We have negative ions. Nature has negative ions. If you walk out in the forest, you're getting a negative ion bath. And the thing about anything man-made, your microwaves, your electricity, your computers, your cell phone, they're all positive. So they're literally draining. That's why sometimes when you've been on the computer for hours, you're like, I have to get a breath of fresh air. Your body is actually saying, recharge me, recharge me. But we can't recharge enough now. So that's why NRF1 is so important.
Wow. And I know that in America and in New Zealand as well, you've brought out NAD. So NAD is, and I believe it will come to Australia soon, but it's been a big component as well for, sirtuins and intermittent fasting and, the importance of this. This was probably another thing that I hadn't understood, the importance of NAD activation.
Well, I know that the company's doing the best they can to get it there. So the government regulatory is probably putting it through a process. But once they really see what it is, they're going to want it in the country. I was researching it for addiction. I think you know this, for probably 6 months or a year before I even found out that our company was in the process of developing it. We're publicly traded, so we don't get to know what's going on until it's publicly announced. But this NAD pathway, the NRF2 pathway, which is the original Protandim, what it affects, the NRF1 pathway, which is your mitochondria, they are signaling molecules. Their whole job is to tell your body what to do when, get this going, get that going, get this balanced. NAD may turn out to be even as important as the NRF2. We just are waiting we don't have 26 clinical trials on it yet. But what it does, some of you know that in these tests, that mice that are fed the least live the longest. We call that caloric restriction. Eating the least amount of food lengthens your life, but it also, sometimes you can't get enough nutrients, and so you can get a canceling out effect. So they were trying to discover for many years, why did this happen in the body? And that's when they began to understand the role of these sirtuins, which actually says to your body, use this food or store it. You'll make enough until you hit about 20, like a baby. Children will make a self-regulating amount, and whatever they eat is designed for growth and development, growth and development, growth and development. You hit about 20, and the body says, okay, you've hit your maturity here. And just like your just like your antioxidant enzymes, just like your mitochondria, you begin to decline about 1% every year, 10% every decade. So what happens is you hit about 40, and those sirtuins are not actively saying, use this meal. And so when that NAD production is not high enough, you're going to store the meal.
Wow.
So yeah,
Good.
It's an amazing product.
It is. And look, I would maybe like to just end with a couple of questions as well, just maybe about, not really to do with LifeVantage products, but just the importance of minerals. Like we were just speaking beforehand about your book, you know, overcoming emotional, mental, and addictive disorders, and what you have discovered with mineral deficiency. Like your family was from, you know, a family of addictions, and, you know, your discovery, and I know this was pretty huge for me as well, knowing that a lot of people that are maybe prone to alcohol and different things out there, that they actually have a mineral deficiency or a vitamin deficiency.
Yes, I'm from a highly addictive family with also a lot of mental and emotional disorders. So I had 4 of my first cousins, beautiful people, to commit suicide, drugs and alcohol related, depression. These were successful people. It's always heartbreaking. I was one of the younger cousins, and it was so hard for me to understand as I moved in my adulthood when I would get that news. So I was searching for my own answers in our family. What's wrong? Now, many of you in Australia, just like so many of us in America, we have the same roots. And we have the same genes. We have the same genetic strengths and weaknesses. And geneticists are saying that over half of us we're genetically predisposed to making too little glutathione. So right there's a problem. So if just by taking a yellow pill, you can increase your production of glutathione by 300%, it's a no-brainer. Why not? But with the vitamin and mineral deficiencies, if you cannot absorb enough B vitamins, then you're going to have a lot of things imbalanced in your body, including your glutamate and your GABA receptors. And when you have your glutamate and your GABA receptors and your production in your brain imbalanced, you will have a chemical imbalance. That's manic depression. We call it bipolar as well. With schizophrenia, one of the things that started my study of that was when I read way back that 83% of the people with schizophrenia could be cured by correcting their vitamin and mineral imbalances. So that's one of the biggest ones is the B vitamins. The B vitamin is like the guard to your cellular metabolism. It's like come on in or don't come in. And it doesn't always know when to say come in and when not to. So if you don't have enough B3, B6, B12, you may have a lot of processes off, including your neurotransmitters. But before we hop off, I want to talk about another vitamin that I think right now you need to double or triple. I know you're on the Sunshine Coast, most of you. However, with the current COVID-19 crisis in the world, the vitamin that perhaps is the most important for you is vitamin D3. You get that from sunshine. So during these days, get out in the sun as much as you can. I'm recommending that people take, some people need 5 to 10,000 units a day to get those vitamin D3 levels way up. Have your doctors, when you have a physical, tell them, check my vitamin D3, check my vitamin B12. These can not only keep you physically healthy, they can keep you mentally healthy. But it all works together.
Yes.
It all works to get these signaling, these switches working.
And look, I want to thank you, Jackie, because if I hadn't read your book 4 years ago, people would have thought I was, you know, a bit mad. And I thought I was as well. There was excess copper happening in my body due to fear or due to whatever. I didn't know what was going on. And you were like, okay, go on. You know, I ended up getting a pyrrole test and it worked out that I had excess copper. So now I take a really strong zinc. Then I felt there was something not quite working with me. And I went and found out, hey, you might have the MTFHR gene. 50% of Irish people have a deficiency in MTFHR. I didn't even know what it meant. But it was that your body doesn't absorb B12, B6, B9, and B3. And that was what I did. It was a swab, a DNA, and then they said, yeah, you have the MTFHR gene. So now you just need to take a methylfolate and folic acid, which is bread and pastas and all these things are like literally poison to your body because it's artificial folic and you need folate. And once I have this strong mineral now with everything else with my Protandim, it has changed my world. And I can't thank you enough for what you have done for me.
Gee, I'm so sorry. I tried to turn off everything around here, but
that's okay, Jackie. We love you. It's fine. I can see technology. These phones are going off on your computer. Don't worry at all.
Apologize.
And I want to just thank you so much for, some people are saying, how can I get it? You can get the audio. Jackie's book, she found out, is on audio. It's not her voice, but there is the audio book, Silent Takeover, How the Body Hijacks the Mind. And she has got some books on Amazon as well. So again, yes, Silent Takeover, Jackie Sheppard. And we just want to thank you for giving up your time, Jackie. I'm so honored that you are part of our company, that you're a Pro8. I believe that we are going to go out into the world together when all this is over, and we are going to go and educate people, one, about LifeVantage and these incredible products, and two, about the knowledge you have, because you're one of the most knowledgeable people I know on natural therapies that can change people's worlds, and you changed my world, and I can't thank you enough for what you have done for me personally.
Gee, I love and respect you. You're doing a beautiful job changing people's lives.
Thank you so much, Jackie.
One last word here. The first meeting I attended with LifeVantage, a national meeting, one of the speakers, one of the corporate members said, we're not a sales company, we're an education company. And I thought, oh, I can do that. I can tell people what we have. So blessings to everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Keep on looking for beautiful and good, and don't get discouraged during these days.
Thank you so much. And if anybody would like to hear more about these products or get the ABC investigative report, if you haven't watched it, I would recommend you watch it. Please get back to the person that recommended you to this video. Thank you so much, Jackie. Take care. Yes. Bye now.
Love y'all. Bye.